What's up everybody, the Diablo 4 Season 5 PTR is now live and you can go on and test the new features, new builds, changes to your class and all the new seasonal activities. And it's a good job we can test them because...
it's not looking good, Bev. It's not looking good.
Honestly, from what I've tested, this new feature is a complete train wreck. So the new seasonal feature is called Infernal Hordes, and it's basically a wave-based roguelike experience. If you've never played a roguelike and you don't know what to expect, it's basically every wave, at the end of every wave, you take buffs and debuffs. So you take one positive, one negative, and generally the enemies get harder and the amount of rewards you get goes up. And the rewards we're talking about is a currency called Burning Ether. So basically it starts out wave one, very slow, very easy. And then by the final wave, everything's much harder, more challenging, and you get loads and loads of this Burning Ether. So that's kind of that's kind of the gameplay. And at the end, you spend all this ether to open chests for gear, materials, gold, that kind of thing. And I love this idea as a seasonal objective. It's different, it's fun, and it has so much potential. But right now, it is awful. From how it's been implemented, to the gameplay, to the reward system, none of it works. So these are just my opinions, but let's go through it all. Talk about my experience, how it works, the good, the bad, and overall some suggestions and potential improvements going forward. So I'm just going to start by going over my experience of these Infernal Hordes and kind of what it was like farming them, the difficulty, the rewards at the end, that kind of thing. And I will say they are making changes to the PTR. It is being hotfixed, and as people give feedback, it's changing, which is why this sort of feedback is so important. So let's start out. First things first, you do an initial quest line, like most seasons, and you're led to these Infernal Hordes, and you're given an Infernal Compass. It tells you these drop in Hell Tides and Nightmare Dungeons. So I went and did that for about an hour, and I got one. In about an hour of Hell Tides, Nightmare Dungeons, switching between them, I got one. And this compass starts at tier 3, which is the only tier that drops in the open world. So you can use it, and when I say the open world, any content outside of the Infernal Horde, it drops at tier 3. So you go use it, you go in, and you play 5 waves. Now, unfortunately, a tier 3 5-wave compass is ridiculously easy. As a level 100 character, you burn through them all. You pretty much one-shot them all. You take a bunch of buffs, a bunch of debuffs, which is pretty cool, like spawn more elites, enemies drop more of the resource you need, that kind of thing. And then after 5 waves, you go into the boss room, you beat them, and 3 chests spawn. An equipment chest, a material chest, and a gold chest. I opened the equipment chest and got a single 925 item. Yep, not even joking, 1 item. I opened another one and got 1 item. So, okay, back to the drawing board. I asked around, and it turns out the aim of this is to upgrade your compass as high as possible. And as you go higher and higher on the compass level, you will spawn a huge equipment box that costs 250 burning ether to open. So that's like the goal. So back to Hell Tides. Another 45 minutes, and I got another compass. Got to the end with around 60 ether altogether after doing one of these compasses. I opened 2 material boxes to try and get a scroll, and the scrolls are what you need to upgrade the compass. So I opened these boxes, and in the second box was a scroll, which is awesome. So I go to upgrade the compass, and you can't upgrade the compass that you're in. So I'm in an Infernal Horde now with a compass that I used, and you can't upgrade that compass. So okay, I've got nothing to upgrade then. And that's around 3 hours down, nothing to show for it. So okay, back to farming compasses. So I thought, we need to group this. So I found some other people that were struggling as well and that were stressed out. 3 other people, and we went in on the PTR. We ran a tier 3, the only one you can get in the game without upgrading. And it was a meme. 4 people in a tier 3 was a joke. We finished it all, and we opened 2 or 3 material boxes each, and 1 person got 1 scroll, and 1 person got 1 compass. Wow. We go in again. 5 more waves of a tier 3. Again, 0 challenge, 0 fun. We opened all the material boxes, and we got another scroll. So we upgraded the compass, and now we've got this juiced out compass. I believe it was like tier 6, and the mobs are around level 160. So after like 3 hours, we finally had a challenge, a bit of fun. And it was a total of 8 waves. And this is where this was fun. This was genuinely really fun. It starts out okay, level 160 mobs is okay. And as you increase the difficulty and go through the waves, it really ramps up. And by wave 8, when you've got all the extra things, you've got extra hell spawn, extra commanders, extra elites, enemies spawn faster, enemies are stronger. It all adds up to being really fun and really challenging. And I would say this is incredible. This is really, really 10 out of 10 content. We clear through it all, we get to the end, and we had 120 ether each, roughly, like 120 to 125. And there's 4 chests, an equipment, a material, a gold, all for 50 ether, and then a spoil of greater equipment for 250 ether. So we couldn't afford that, none of us. So, okay, back to opening equipment boxes and trying to upgrade the scrolls. So, again, 4 of them. And, I opened 4 boxes, somebody else opened 4 boxes, and between us, we didn't get enough scrolls to make another like powerful compass that would have been a challenge and given us good rewards. So everyone just quit. Everyone was just like, this is trash, we're done. And everyone just went their separate ways. This was such a boring, tedious experience. This is a diamond in the rough. When this is fun, it's really, really fun, but it's very much in the rough because it's not fun often. So let's break down the main issues. Number one is the compass. One of the main issues is the infernal compasses itself. These are basically your sigils, the things that open the event. And one, they only seem to drop from Helltides and Nightmare Dungeons, and they only drop at tier 3, which is basically easy baby mode if you're at endgame. It's equivalent to like a level 40 Nightmare Dungeon, which is just a joke if you're max level. So you just one-shot everything mostly. And I'd love to see these drop at tier 3 in Helltides and Nightmare Dungeons, but then let's say like a tier 6 or a tier 7 should drop from a Tormented boss. If you can defeat a Tormented boss, you should be getting a tier 6 or a tier 7. If you can defeat like a level 100 pit run, you should get a tier 6 or 7 or 8. You shouldn't be getting tier 3s anywhere if you're at endgame. It's like giving you a level 40 sigil from something at endgame. It makes zero sense. It's very, very boring running these if you're at max level. And the fact that this is how you upgrade them, this is how you get your scrolls, is pretty pathetic. The next is, I want to talk about the roguelike side of it. So it's genuinely a good idea. Gaining the roguelike buffs and debuffs feels great. The chaos of when it's really hard is fun. But the problem is you have to spend so much time doing tier 3s, tier 4s, really boring, tedious stuff. It's like playing a phone game in that it's just so repetitively boring. It's just a time wasting activity that makes no sense. And it's just too easy. And then when you do get into a hard tier, like a tier 6 or a tier 7, you start at wave 1. And wave 1 is easy. Wave 2 is easy. It gets hard at the higher tier. And that's the problem. When you're running a tier 3, a tier 4, it's 5 waves or 6 waves. When you get into the good stuff, the waves go longer. And the later you are in the wave, the more fun it is. And that's what I think is probably the number one problem. There should be a way to fast track the lower waves or to skim through the lower waves. If you go into a pit and the pit is too easy, you will bust through that pit in 2 minutes. People are busting through like tier 100 pits in a couple of minutes. Imagine if you had to run that whole 50-minute timer in the pit just because it's a timed event. And that's what the waves are. They're timed waves. And no matter how strong you are, you have to sit the wave out, which means you're just standing there using one button, waiting for the time to end. And that's a real big problem because when it does get fun, it's really fun. So I don't know how they can do that. I don't know how they can have maybe as well as the wave timer, have a mob counter. And when you hit the mob counter, you know, you automatically go on to the next wave. That would help because where it is right now, it's not good. Finally, let's talk about the rewards because as I did it, you were forced to fish for these scrolls and in the material boxes. So wherever you're running, whatever compass you're running, you were forced to go into the material box to try and get a scroll. They've now hotfixed the PTR so that you can salvage other compasses to upgrade them, which is great, but it's just like the illusion of choice because you don't really have a choice. You're still forced to farm the lower ones or to get the lower ones to upgrade the compass into a higher tier. And I don't understand why you can't just skip that and give us a good compass. Like we have Nightmare Dungeons where we can go and craft a level 90 to 100 sigil and go and do some hard Nightmare Dungeons. We have the pit where if you've progressed to level 120 in the pit, you can go into the 120 pit whenever you want. You know, you've got tons of the resource to go in. You can just keep going in. So why is this so restricted? These are one-use items that we have to painfully upgrade. There's no need for it. Let us go and do the fun content as we want. If there's challenging content there, let us just go into it. It makes zero sense. Yeah, overall, we just need less time spamming the boring 5 wave low tier compasses and more time doing high-end waves in high-end compass levels that are challenging, fun, and rewarding. I've played this for 1 day on the PTR and have lost all interest in it. Unless I see a really juicy hotfix or a really juicy patch note for the infernal hordes, I have no interest in doing it. It's a terrible system right now because when it's fun, it's really, really fun. But right now, it is rarely fun. So let's see where this goes over the course of the PTR. Hopefully we see some really good changes because this has the foundations for a really fun and repeatable upgrade system that goes alongside the pit. And I hope they work it out. But yeah, that's the video. Sorry if it comes across as negative, but we have to give criticism where it's needed. That's, you know, the devs have shown that they are really receptive to feedback and they've done an incredible job of reacting to it and implementing changes in the game. Like, look where we are in season 4. It is in the best state ever right now. And that's because so many people have fed back changes and they've been implemented in a really good way. So yeah, I'm really, really glad that we have the PTR, because I don't want you to experience what I experienced yesterday. But yeah, that's it from me. I'd love to know what you think of the comments. Have you tried it? What do you think of it? Do you play roguelikes? Really would love to hear what you think, because this is just my experience after a real tilted day of trying this out. So let me know. That's it from me. Take care, and I'll catch you in the next one.